you look at the Give Me system, and recently you realize that there has been instances where, because some workers picketed at Flagstaff House or went on demonstration, they normally have some ad hoc measures of preparing their payment in a voucher form. How do you include such account into the overall preparation, especially when it is, and then how do you track those vouchers which were done outside?
Normally, we do not encourage any MDA, and for that matter, you wouldn't even have access to your money. There have been instances where MDAs come to controller, we receive our warrant, we receive our release letter, and that we want our money. And I ask them, have you processed your transaction on the gift miss? Because the system is such that you will not have your money at the tail end. It is a system that you need to run through, and the module will tell you that when you have gone through the gift miss, at the tail end, the chief cashier, or for that matter, controller, would send your money into your sub-CF, sub-consolidated fund. Every MDA has a bank account at Bank of Ghana. So the issue that you raise, that people will be picketing around Flagstaff House, and that they will have to, all said and done, they will have to be paid. Arrears will have to be paid through the gift me system. In fact, our RPPD payroll system will capture all salaries and wages. And ultimately, it will be interfaced, or it is integrated with the gift miss. So all transactions relating to salary and allowances, for that matter, will still end up in the gift miss system, in the general ledger, as I've already said.
Single treasury account. We know that a lot of the commercial banks have been very smart in relying on some of these government accounts, using it sometimes for purposes of their own transactions. We also know that economic system cannot continue without the existence of these commercial banks. I want to find out whether, by creating the single treasury account system, whether you've been able to do the cost-benefit analysis for us to find out, by this system that we are introducing, those commercial banks that are going to be affected. We know, we've heard that more than about 8 commercial banks are going to be affected when these, because virtually their cash flow relies solely on some of these government. Can you assure this committee that when you roll out, these things are already in the system?
The Treasury single account is a phenomenon. It hasn't happened before. But the issue is that the government, in the Public Financial Management Act, that is Act 921, 2016, has explicitly mentioned the TSA in the law, that government will have to create a treasury single account at the Bank of Ghana, so that all MDAs, all government funds lying in the various commercial banks will have to be pooled and then transferred to the central bank, that is Bank of Ghana. Controller, and for that matter, Minister of Finance, we have done a lot of work. This thing started about a year ago, and at every point we have involved the commercial banks, we have involved the MDAs, the ministry departments and agencies whose accounts are being transferred. The essence of this whole concept is that government at any point in time will want to be able to determine its financial or cash position. As of now, or before we even embark on this concept or this project, bank accounts, government accounts are lying in various commercial banks, and then the main consolidated fund is at the central bank. So anytime government wants to determine its cash position, probably it has to probably then be calling commercial bank, how much balances are you holding? Then we add up to get the government position. But the treasury single account is going to create a level where at any point in time, government will be able to know its cash position or its financial position, because all the bank accounts, we are not going to put all in one account. All these, we're going to create a certain number of accounts. In fact, as we went through the whole program with the MDAs and the Bank of Ghana, every MDA is going to be allowed to open 4 bank accounts at the central bank. If hitherto you were keeping about, say, 10 accounts, 15 accounts, now we give you the power to open only 4 bank accounts at the central bank. And these 4 bank accounts will capture all the balances that are sitting in your accounts at the commercial bank. And then you still have your mandate to sign checks or to withdraw from these accounts at the central bank. The beauty of it is that when all these monies have been transferred, all these accounts have been transferred to the central bank, it gives the government a direct position that at any point in time, how much government holds as total position for the physical, we can just add up because the accounts are all at one bank.
It's going to be done in stages. We have had series of meetings with the banks, and so we are working with the banks. We wouldn't do anything that will have a negative impact on our banks because they really support this economy. So it's not going to be one-off. It's going to be done in stages. So we want to assure you that we are in talks with the banks and we share their concerns and everything, and we'll work together with them to see to it that as much as we want government funds to be in a single account, sort of, we also think of the impact it will have. So we are working together with them.
I would want to focus on GIFMIS, GOG loan recovery, and then non-tax revenue. Now, the Auditor General in 2014 cautioned the Ministry of Finance and recommended that the Controller and Accountant General does not or should not process payment outside of the GIFMIS platform. According to the Auditor General, in paragraph 44, you assured the country that you have accepted the recommendations that were made and you would discontinue the practice. Come 2015, same issues are happening, and the issues haven't been resolved. Now, do you accept that you are creating problems for the state because of your refusal to implement the Auditor General's recommendations, which result in budget overruns?
In our earlier response to the 2014 public accounts, that we were very expectant that this would not recur because the GIFMIS process was evolving and the rollout was on course. But the rollout was not able to achieve its target of reaching all MDAs and reaching all sources of funds. And that is, a primary reason why we have not been able to, implement all the transactions on the system. But like as Honorable Deputy Minister and the Controller said earlier on, as much as possible, we put all transactions through the GIFMIS system. But there are places where GIFMIS is not. If you get IGF in those institutions, there's no way you'll be able to, put them through GIFMIS.
How long has the system been in operation?
GIFMIS became operational, the full year of operation was 2015. The full year of putting the budget and the transactions on the system was 2015. But we haven't been able to cover all sources of funds on the GIFMIS system.
This is, by the way, how much did it cost us to put the system in place?
We'll have to check and get back to you on that.
And could you revert to the committee before the week is out?
We'll do that.
Okay. The Auditor General in paragraph 50 says...
Mr. Chairman.
If I may finish, please.
I just want to... concerning the GIFMIS system, this is a system we have inherited, so it is nothing new. It's something that we are trying to improve upon it, and we are gradually trying to roll out other agencies onto the GIFMIS system. So like we said, we are really working at it, and we hope that moving forward, these occurrences on the doing things outside the GIFMIS will not appear in the Auditor General's report again.
This has been in existence for about 4 years now.
Honorable Deputy Minister, this is a system you have inherited. Inherited from whom?
What I meant to say was that it is something we are trying to roll out all the agencies onto it. So it is something that we have inherited, that we are working on to improve the system such that moving forward.
I heard it perfectly that you inherited. My question is, you inherited from whom?
From the previous system administration.
We are not looking at accounts of government, people who are being in government. We are looking at accounts of Ghana.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I understand that perfectly. But what I was trying to say is that it is something that...
So I thought you tell me that you inherited from Nigeria.
No, Mr. Chairman.
It is account of Ghana.
It's the account of Ghana. But what I meant to say is that this is a new administration. And then we are trying to see to it that all the other agencies that were not on it previously, I mean, we're trying to put them on the system moving forward so that next time or in the next Auditor General's reports, this particular infraction will not appear in it. That was what I meant by saying that.
The system was meant to run, and there is a timeline on when these organizations come on board, when these source of funding come on board, and that. If you say that you have inherited and you are now trying to put some organizations on board, it means that the one who was handling it before never mind to put those organizations on board.
No, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Then reframe
then,
your
Mr.
statement.
Chairman, and says that it is not all the agencies that are currently on GIFMIS. We are trying to put them on GIFMIS. So, certainly, before 2015, 2016, these things will appear in the Auditor General's report. But moving forward, plans are far advanced to put some of these agencies on the GIFMIS so that this will not be an infraction again. That was what I meant by that.
Why are some agencies not on the platform?
Yes, Honorable Chair, it's a system that you roll out in phases. The reason being that, let me give...
And it's been more than 4 years, just for the record.
Yes, but let me also...
And we've spent millions of cedis on the system.
Yes. The rolling out requires having a wide area network put in place because it is an integrated system, IT, real-time, high-speed system.
So what were you doing?
You have to be in Bolga and assess the system.
I'm sorry, sir. What were you doing when you gave the Auditor General assurances in 2014 that you would not repeat those infractions? And this is contained in the report, 2014, and they've happened again.
On our chair, normally, at the time of audit, you have expectations. This audit was for 2015. The Auditor General's report for 2020, the expectation at that time was that all things being equal, by the end of 2015, you have all the MDAs on board. But then we realized that the rollout was not as easy as we expected.
In spite of the millions of cities spent on it. But in any case, what is inhibiting the rollout of this program?
One major factor is, as the controller said, the connectivity. In fact, you can have an MDA in Accra, but to bring that MDA on board, there's a lot of infrastructure that you need to put in place at the MDA level and train people and do the necessary infrastructure to enable you to bring that MDA on board. When we started, we were using transaction processing centers with the expectation that people will carry their document and go to the site and then process their transactions. We learned very quickly that when you talk about a particular ministry, there are so many departments within that ministry. So it's not just the ministry head office. So for every ministry, if you take like a Ministry of Finance, we have the Accountant General Department, we have GRA, we have a number of institutions under the ministry. If you take the Ministry of Roads and Highways, you have highway, you have urban roads, you have other departments.
That's all right. I want to refer you to paragraph 50, Auditor General's position. I am of the opinion that as all MDAs have been fully deployed on the GIFMIS and payments noted above were not payments for emergencies, there's no reasonable excuse for processing payments outside of the system.
Yes, we've noted that. That when we say MDAs have been rolled out onto the GIFMIS, I mean, that is true. As we speak, all MDAs can process their transactions on the GIFMIS, but not all the agencies under the respective ministries are connected. So the logistics of making sure that you post all these transactions on the GIFMIS is one issue that we are dealing with. In fact, as we speak, like I said, not all MDAs and all sources of funds are on the GIFMIS. So for 2016, when we get our report, we realize that IGS, for instance, the auditors will report that IGS were not all processed on GIFMIS. We will have to respond to that. Fortunately for us, we can now say that all the government of Ghana transactions will now be on GIFMIS. I mean, because that's source of funds.
Can you give us timelines as to when you would fully comply with the recommendations of the Auditor General?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honestly, we cannot sit here and give timelines. We need to discuss with the technical people as well as the minister and all those involved. So we cannot give timelines, but we assure you that we are working on it, and we believe that we will get the results that we are all looking for to help save, and to prevent budget overruns moving forward. So
do you accept that by not moving fully to the system, you are creating issues of budget overruns? Yes or no?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that is not the case. That is not the case at all. We are not creating budget overruns intentionally. Some of the things, like Chief Director has explained, it is not intentional that we don't put it on GIFMIS. There are challenges, and then we are trying to solve, these challenges. These challenges have been with us since 2015, and it is nothing new, but rather we are working very hard to see to it that agencies that were not on it previously are put on it, so that moving forward, these things will not occur.
It's contained in paragraph 59 of page 14 of the report, where there was an understatement of external debt balance of the country up to the tune of 1.1 billion Ghana cedis. 1.1 billion Ghana cedis in 2015. If you look at the table, the understatement of external debt receipts. If you go to the Dutch bank, there was an understatement of 394.3 million Ghana cedis. If you go to Export-Import Bank of USA, an understatement of 197.9 million. Then you go to International Development Association, 454. So it beats my imagination as to how the Ministry of Finance and Controller General could sit for this to really happen. If you can really speak to this issue, it's very important. I'm a bit curious.
What happens with the debt recording is that we have a system that records the debt as information becomes available. And what we record as debt is not what we have signed up to borrow, but what projects have disbursed. So at the time of the accounts that controller prepares on 31st March, information that is available and recorded in our debt management system would agree with what controller records on 31st March. By the time the audit is done on 30th June, if the debt management system has additional information that shows that at 31st December, some disbursements were effected, they will go ahead and update their system as at 31st December. But for the purpose of the financial statement, it can only be a restatement of the balance at 31st, because they would have prepared the accounts at 31st March when that information was not available either to controller or to the debt management division. So it is only information that became available. Let me give an example. If we are doing a project, that is funded by a donor, we will send a disbursement request to the donor to pay a contractor who may be a foreign contractor. We will not know when the contractor has actually been paid until that disbursement is made and then information is sent back to us. And that sometimes takes time. So that is one major cause of the differences that you will see between what is recorded in the debt management division and what controller records. The beauty of it, however, is that at the end of the day, the two systems are reconciled and the debt stock is updated. So you'll notice that even when Ministry of Finance reports at a particular time, we always go back and update our numbers as and when information becomes available. In terms of if we go by the accounting standards, then what the Accountant General has reported is accurate, because at that time, that was a position of disbursement. Statistically, that is not a figure, because some disbursement was actually done, except that you didn't have the information at the time of this.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just asking this simple question.
Okay.
Are you saying that we should accept this as a normal system? I have a reason for asking this question.
Unfortunately, the definition of a normal system is what I'm doubting as to exactly what we want to call a normal.
Yes, the way you put it, you said that, well, this is something that happens all the time, and when it happens, you do this, another time you go back and do this, and what have you. Because for me, for the Auditor General to cite this as an issue, it means that there is something amiss. And that is the more reason why you need to speak to the issue, and for us to ask ourselves, especially your entity, going forward, what is it that we can do to ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Like I said previously, now we do quarterly reconciliation. So it's not just the systems issue, but we also do the reconciliation such that these discrepancies do not occur. And also we are in constant touch with the Controlling Accountants General. This is more than we used to do. So I believe that it will go a long way to also solve this problem. But like my chief director said, the time for accounts preparation also has an effect on some of these things. But we believe that in addition to that, we can do quarterly reconciliations to help bring some of these figures down.
There was a recommendation by the Auditor General that the Minister of Finance and the Controller Accountant General should ensure that an unpaid amount of about 21,296,167.31 is transferred into the appropriate consolidated fund account without further delay. And the auditor's comment is that as at now, that has not been implemented. What can you say about that?
When this issue came up, like it has happened in 2015, we ensured that the money was transferred. You know, the system as it is now, you know, these banks who collect non-tax revenue on behalf of government, they are cited all over. And they also don't have any means by which they can electronically, when these monies are collected, even though they are supposed to pay within 48 hours, which we ensure, sometimes they will also transfer through their headquarters. Say, for instance, if some non-tax revenue is collected from Tamale Veterinary or any of the institutions there, they will pay into their account and to travel to their commercial bank, sometimes to the regional office, to the headquarters, before the money is subsequently credited to our account. We have, in fact, I've had series of meetings with them, with the banks. I called all the 16 banks or more who actually collect non-tax revenue on behalf of government to ensure that the 48-hour rule is adhered to. And so that is it. So for any reason, if any bank fails to do so, we slap an interest on that bank. And so religiously, this money that is shown in the accounts has been transferred long since. It's not something that is hanging. Yes. And the auditors have already been informed.
Delay in crediting budget support receipts. The Chairman, poverty reduction is very, very important. And when you look at paragraph 20, with your permission, I noted that Bank of Ghana delayed for over 26 months, before crediting the CF with 3 million 691,430 British pounds. It received on behalf of government from the UK. Government from the UK, that is for poverty reduction. Can you tell us what exactly happened and what is the state of it?
You are right. Honorable Chair, I want to give you the exact situation report. Indeed, the MOU, as it were, was entered into somewhere in 2006, and I have a letter from the British High Commission in Accra here to confirm the actual transaction, actual understanding that was entered into at that time. I think we can pass it on to show that indeed these funds were going to come in for poverty reduction strategy programs. So we were expecting this money to come in. Indeed, it didn't happen in 2008. It actually happened, according to the report, 2013, March 19th. That was the time the actual money came in, and it wasn't the whole £6 million as it was agreed in the MOU. It's been rightly stated here, an amount of £3,691,430 60 British pence. This was the total amount that actually came in on the 19th of March 2013. Inadvertently, these monies or this amount was not credited to consolidated fund, as it were. So it came in somewhere 26 months thereafter, as you rightly said, has been captured by the audit. So it came in 26 months, so 2015, 30th June, that was the time the money actually settled in government accounts. So we were a little bit surprised. Money that we had been told that it had been paid in 2010 actually got credited to government account 26 months after. So we quickly got back to our bankers, that is the central bank, to find out what exactly was the issue. And I have letters to confirm my correspondence with the governor of the Bank of Ghana. Indeed, yesterday I was with him to confirm and tell me finally what the position is. In fact, the governor was saying that it has come to his notice lately, and that he has also engaged his internal auditors to investigate how the delay happened. So we have letters to confirm our inquiry from the bank, and then we have the time the money was actually lodged in, confirmed by the bank's advice and letters. They are all here to confirm that. Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, so that means if PAC hadn't, invited you, you wouldn't have made any follow-ups to the central bank?
We would have. As I said, we also inquired from the bank why the delay happened.
You just told the committee that you went there yesterday.
No. We had gone there before. No, I had gone there several times, but because I was coming here, I wanted to, because he hadn't reacted to my letter.
I believe those informations were made available. Why are you now, auditors, were you given those informations? Because I've just seen some papers being, flashing all over. Were you given those informations? Can you confirm?
Honorable Chair, what we have in our possession was the MOU together with the lodgement date, but the follow-up as to what Controller just indicated, we don't have that correspondence.
Asking is that recently there were some nurses who were picketing at the Ministry of Health. What is their faith?
Thank you. Their faith will have to be determined by the ministry because if anything should happen, their compensation will be taken from the Ministry of Health's budget. So they need to know whether they can fit in adequately. So what we are saying is that there's a process, And we want to follow that process. If that process will enable them recruit more people, I mean, they will gladly do that. So we want to follow the process and remain within the stated budget that we have said we are going to work with.
So, which means that even though the policy of freeze does not affect these two ministries, they are still limited to the availability of the budgets.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.